Hey guys, Joe Saint here, coming at you with my partner, Frankensleeve. And this one is going to be about how do you fight head hunger, or how do I fight head hunger. Head hunger is still with me. It's been 31 months post-op, and I still occasionally get head hunger. It's not as overwhelming and all-encompassing as it was pre-op, but it still does hit me every once in a while, several times a week as a matter of fact. Usually it's after a high protein meal where I didn't have any carbs or very, very few carbs, like low carb vegetables. And just a few minutes after eating, I will get this overwhelming urge to eat something sweet. And I can usually tell whether it's head hunger or not, or real physical hunger, because of the physical sensations I have. I can actually feel a kind of a twisting sensation in my stomach. When I'm truly hungry, I'll feel that twisting, knotting sensation, or I'll hear it growling, or even sometimes I feel like a burning sensation in my stomach, like almost a little bit like acid. And that's the three signs that I go by when I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm truly hungry or whether it's head hunger. So whenever I have a sudden urge to eat something, I try to stop and kind of scan my body, think to myself, where is the sensation coming from? Am I getting this urge to eat from my stomach or my head? If I notice that my stomach is not making any sensations, any type of growling, there's no twisting, no knotting, no empty sensation, then I realize it's all coming from my head. Especially if I've just eaten within the past 30 minutes or so, I know that I'm not hungry. So over time, I have just paid attention to my body's signals and just kind of developed that sense of when it's true hunger and when it's head hunger. And over time, you can develop the same sensation. Just pay attention to what's going on in your body, and your body will tell you what it wants. Although dealing with it might be a different thing altogether. And just to kind of get on the same page with the definition of head hunger. So what is head hunger? It's the need or desire to eat, but there's no physiological need for food. Your stomach is satisfied, your body is satisfied, but something has triggered the desire for you to eat. Your brain is telling you to eat. So it can be triggered by multiple things. It can be triggered by depression, it can be triggered by stress, it can be triggered by boredom. That's a big thing for me. It can be triggered by locations. It can be triggered by people. One of my triggers for head hunger is sitting at my computer desk. I pretty much live at my computer desk at home. I don't sit on the couch. I don't sit in the chairs. I sit at my desk, play on my computer, and watch TV or watch movies. And that's where I also eat. So when I get home in the evenings, or when I sit down first thing in the morning, my brain knows that's where we're supposed to eat. So I'll find myself sitting there, and all of a sudden I'll be bored or distracted, and I will suddenly feel this urge to get up and go get something, even though I'm not hungry. And sometimes it's not even a head hunger. It's just completely out of boredom. It's like, oh, what can we do? Let's go get something to eat. So dealing with that can sometimes be a hassle. But as I said, it's not anything near as bad as it was pre-op. Now it's more of a minor annoyance. And the definition of true hunger. And as I said before, that is simply when your stomach is empty and it is sending you signals that it needs food. It's growling at you, it's nodding, it is sending you painful signals that it wants to eat. It may be making bubbling noises. You may feel gurgling going on. So once you've figured out whether it's head hunger or true hunger, and you've decided it's head hunger, how do you break the habit of giving into head hunger? And that one truly is a tough one. Before I get into the 10 ways that WebMD lists dealing with head hunger, and I'll be putting a link for the WebMD article down there below in the description box if you'd like to read the whole article. The way I deal with head hunger is I reach for protein first. I try to have plenty of chicken, beef, or pork on hand, and very few high carb, high glycemic foods in the house. Anything with processed sugar, even fruits are a really bad thing for me. They will trigger my head hunger once I start eating fruit, so I know to stay away from those. So my house pretty much stays with protein and low glycemic vegetables like squash, broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, mainly Brussels sprouts. So when I have head hunger, I reach for more protein. I fill up on protein, and then if that doesn't get me completely filled up and eliminates my head hunger, then I will reach for some of the vegetables. Because like I said, I don't have anything with sugar in it in my house. At work, that's different. At work, after eating the protein and I'm still craving something sugary, then I will reach for something like Raisin Bran. We have a dispenser here at work with Raisin Bran in it, so I will eat about 2 ounces of Raisin Bran. And between filling up a protein and adding in on top of it the vegetables or the Raisin Bran, I am topped off. So even if I still have head hunger, I can't hold anymore. So the other thing that does work for me is to keep myself busy, especially at work. If I can get up and go up to my desk and go work on a project, or at home if I can get outside and work on the yard, something I really want to do. So the way that I deal with head hunger at home is that I don't have anything that has processed sugar in it or high glycemic foods in my house, or high glycemic vegetables like potatoes or rice or pasta. I keep low glycemic vegetables, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and lentils in my house, along with lots of protein, either beef, chicken, or pork loin. I am doing my best to retrain my brain to reach for protein whenever it has head hunger, rather than crying out for something sugary and sweet. Still working on that though. I'm going to give you the WebMD's list of 10 ways to deal with head hunger, and maybe some of these will work for you. They say bulk up your meals. That means adding fiber to your meals. Fiber is claimed to fill your stomach up, and it's slower to digest, so your meals will stay in your stomach longer. Now they say bulk up your meals with fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. And as I mentioned earlier, fruits in particular actually trigger my head hunger. So the more fruit I eat, the hungrier I get till I get completely filled up. So I have to be real careful around fruit. So you might want to, your mileage may vary on adding these different types of fiber to your diet. Add soup to your diet. And I know that from experience, soup does fill me up. I don't cook soup at home, but it does sound like a good idea. I've ordered soup at restaurants, and it does fill me up pretty well, especially a warmer soup as opposed to a room temperature soup, or there are some soups that are actually cold. So they say have a bowl of broth or a vegetable-based soup as a first course, and that will partially fill your stomach up and leave less room for other things. The next on the list is crunch your appetite away by adding a big salad. Now they say put on low fat or a fat-free dressing, and in my case I would choose a low carb dressing like a Caesar or ranch, or maybe even one of the kind of in-between ones like Thousand Island. Depending on the brand, it may or may not be low carb, but I would go for a low carb, high fat salad dressing over a high carb, low fat dressing any day. But I know that fat is filling, and it does fill me up. But once again, be careful with how much you're using, because they are high in calories, whether they are low carb or low fat. One way or the other, they're going to get the flavor in there, and either they get the flavor up by adding fat, or they up the flavor by adding sugar. So just be careful when you're picking out your dressings. The next one on the list is staying on course, and by that they mean having more than one course during a meal. And I don't know about you, but with my tiny stomach, I can't have multiple courses in a meal unless I want to have one Brussels sprout as my first course, and then I have 1 tablespoon of soup as my second course, and I have one little bitty meatloaf sized piece of meat as my main course, and dessert of course is half a cherry. The next on the list, they say eat nuts. Nuts are high in fiber, but they are also high in calories. Nuts do have good fats in them that are healthy for you, but as I just said, they are high in calories, so be careful with how many you're eating. Usually in my case, I actually count the nuts out whenever I have a snack of nuts, so you would be surprised how few nuts it takes to equal to 200 calories. In my experience, it has been about 21 nuts. If I was to buy a can of the mixed nuts without peanuts, on average 21 mixed up nuts is 180 calories. So I do go to the trouble of counting them out, because it is very, very easy to eat 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces and still not be filled up. But If you're going to go with nuts, just be careful with them. And their last tip is to slow down. You're eating too fast. And that's a particularly hard thing to learn right after surgery, but you can master it over time. The way that I slowed down in my eating in the beginning was I would take a bite of food and I would play a round of one of my games. I used to go online and play this game where you were defending your towers against these armored balloons. You're trying to pop balloons, and I would take a bite or 2 bites and I would play a round, which would take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes, and then I would take another bite or 2 bites, and then I would play another round. And that's how I retrained myself to eat much more slowly. Now, after a year, I didn't have to worry about eating slow enough because I had learned and ingrained the habit of taking my time while I was eating. Now, I still occasionally will scarf down food when I'm in a hurry. My food is usually pretty well portioned out, so I know exactly how much I can eat without getting over full, so I don't have too much trouble with taking one bite too many anymore. But in the beginning, that was a hard lesson to learn. It took many months to get in the habit of eating slowly and knowing when to stop. I don't want to go through that again. That was painful. Those are the top 10 tips from WebMD on how to battle head hunger. I hope some of these are effective for you, and if you have any tips or tricks on how to battle head hunger from your own experience, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear from you. Or if you would thumb up or thumb down this video to let me know if you like this content. This is how I know whether or not I'm on the right track and delivering the kind of topics people would like to hear about. So this is Jote Saint and my sidekick, Frankensleeve, signing out from VSG land. Keep pimping that sleeve.